What the hell is going on out there, fellow binge watchers? Thank you for jumping back into another Binge Watch Brigade episode with one of your hosts, Jim Bob Joe III, here with John Carnage. Jay-Z, how you doing today?
Doing pretty good.
Pretty good, man. Heck yeah. We had a pretty interesting day yesterday with I found a pay-per-view that we ended up watching that was pretty entertaining. But
quite funny.
I feel like the fights in that pay-per-view were nowhere near the class of the fights in our current show we just watched, Hell's Paradise.
Oh, absolutely not.
Those were very mediocre in comparison. Oh man, this one's really cool actually. I feel like this is going to be one, and I told you this pretty early on, is like I feel like anybody who likes Bleach will really be able to like this one quite easily.
Oh yeah.
I can definitely, like, I already told you that there are definitely members of this show that I can already see being, like, very reflective of, like, Soul Reapers and then, like, the Iran cars even, like, later on in, like, one of the, I think that's, like, episode, or season, like, 6 or 7 of Bleach. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, I feel like there's a lot of similarities between the characters in the world that are there. Obviously, there are some major differences, but I feel like there's a lot of similarities that somebody could definitely take, and if they like those aspects of Bleach, they'll definitely like this one.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's you can see a lot of Bleach influence, but you could also see a lot of Bleach influence in a lot of new gen animes, which is really cool. Because I mean, Bleach is really cool. So,
I mean, I would definitely agree. I mean, just going into it right away, with this episode, I definitely. I wanted to look at this because of like a grid that I've been looking at a lot lately with something different, but with rewatch, regret, recommend, right? Mm-hmm. This one, I feel like if I'm going to dive into this, I think I'm going to label this one as a recommend so far. I don't know if this is going to be one that I would rewatch. I think for me, once you kind of figure out a lot of the plot points of it, it might be like good for one rewatch on my end. But like, I feel like with how many twists and turns and things that you're already starting to go through in the first season, I feel like as of right now, this one's just like a solid recommend for me. That's fair.
I kind of get what you're saying with that. I have rewatched it multiple times, but I don't know. I really like it, but I think I'm going to label it a recommend as well because of your argument. It's one of those shows that you should probably rewatch when a new season comes out, maybe. Mm-hmm. But like, it's not I want something to watch, I'm going to rewatch this type show.
Right. I mean, I feel like there's enough that are similar to this where like I could get my fix for like this style pretty easily. Mm-hmm. That's another thing that kind of like gets me in like it might be a rewatch at some point, but for the most part it's just a recommend just because of, I mean, the story is what really makes this one.
Right. Although one thing it has going for it that could make it a rewatch, an easy rewatch, is it's not very long. And I don't think it's going to go very long either because the manga isn't super long.
That's very valid. And I mean, looking at it though, this is granted it's a short anime, but I still feel like this one has some of the same things that we talked about in like Dorohedoro. Is like there's a lot that happens in each episode. Like I feel like the first 2-3 episodes went by kind of slow, but I enjoyed watching it even though it was kind of slow.
Yeah, they were the build up to get you to where we were going.
Right. But once you get past that, things move very quickly. And for the last like 3 episodes, I had to rewatch those, I think twice, just so I could feel like I got everything out of each episode.
Yeah, a ton happens in those last 3 episodes.
Mm-hmm. This one's definitely, I don't necessarily want to say this is a sleeper anime by any means. If I was to say it was a sleeper anime, I would say that's almost like Free Ren. It's at least from my perspective, but you and I have discussed.
Free Ren's at least been up for awards, so a lot of people know about it, and a lot of people know it's at least really good. Whereas I don't see or hear a lot of people talking about this one, even though it's part of the so-called dark trio with Chainsaw Man and Jujutsu Kaisen, which are both huge. It's like really slept on, but I don't think it's the worst of the dark trio at all.
No, I would definitely
Chainsaw Man, even though I really like Chainsaw Man, but that also shows you how much I like the other ones.
I haven't watched Chainsaw Man yet. For me, it's just a little like I don't know. It's been hard for me to grasp that one. I like JJK a lot. I would definitly, honestly say at this point, I would probably pick JJK over this, at least as of now.
I agree. I think I don't want to say this to make some people mad, but I think that this has a more interesting and intricate story than JJK, but I think overall JJK is more, I don't know, entertaining and just better. I don't know. If you're more into a like mystery story type thing, definitely go for this. But if you're into a super interesting, intricate power system and just a lot more fights and stuff, then probably go for JJK.
This one does have its fair share of fights, though. I mean, when you break it down, there's not one episode that doesn't have at least one fight.
True.
Because let's be realistic, with how many people are in the show all doing things simultaneously, there's so much going on all at once.
Right, but that's also why I added power system into it, because most of the fights in this first season, at least, there's like no real power outside of ninjutsu, which is really cool. But outside of that, there's no real powers going on until like halfway through the season. Whereas JJK, it's like right away there's powers.
Right.
So if that's your thing, that.
So taking a look at this, and I'm kind of curious to get your thoughts on how this works because they haven't totally clarified it yet. You and I have discussed there are shows that are blatantly using magic. There are shows that are blatantly using like a magic adjacent, but they justify it scientifically. And then there are ones where it's just everybody's human. Like there's no power at all. I don't know how to grasp this one because, like, when you break down like Baki and Kengan Ashura, it's not magic; it's human abilities that are scientific. They provide a reason that it's feasible scientifically. Yujiro breaking down buildings and shit. You know, like is that feasible? No, but they justify it scientifically to make it possible. How would you say that this show goes in that kind of like structure?
I would say it's like in between, but instead of it being like magic, it's more like spiritualism.
It's like Ki or Kai, however you want to pronounce that, for like Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, it's like Ki, Chi, maybe Chi. Let's see. Yeah, Ki. It's Ki usually. Kind of, because
let's be realistic, it gets
chakra,
way more
sort of.
Yeah, because you definitely see it used more and more throughout this first season. Because at first they kind of chalk it up to like their human abilities that are provided scientifically, but then you get like you look at the main character Gabiru, you look at Gabimaru. Sorry, God damn it,
Gabiru so on the brain.
Right, Gabimaru, your main character. Which what is up with all the characters in anime that are just like they're white-haired emo kids now? Is that like the new trend?
Right, it's the thing. It's the thing that's in apparently because everyone loves it.
I mean, I'm not hating on it, but I'm just like, how did we get here? You know,
it all started with I don't actually know who it started with. Probably
Nagi.
No, that's a new thing. I'm talking like either Killua or kind of Kakashi. He's more gray hair, but still he fits the mold.
Kakashi.
But Killua is definitely the mold.
That's fair. I could see that.
But all these characters we're getting now are like grown up Killuas.
Yeah. It's at least looks wise, not necessarily like personality wise.
Right. I don't know. Gabimaru definitely reminds me of Killua when he's serious.
That's facts.
Both of them are serious. Actually, he reminds me of him a lot now that I'm thinking about it. Because they're like the little quirky, goofy stuff. Definitely reminds me of Killua too.
That I could see that. But so, I mean, kind of a general consensus on this for rewatch, regret, recommend. It's definitely a recommend from both of us. I would definitely say like it's worth rewatching if you feel like you didn't get everything out of it the first time.
Right.
Because there is so much going on that it's worth going back to find those things. But I definitely feel like I'm getting a lot of fulfillment from this show to the point where, like, once a lot of the mystery is gone, I feel like I could move on from this one.
That's fair.
Moving on to the breakdown, I feel like I want to hear your side of this one. Normally, I kind of jump off on these, but I kind of want to get your take on the breakdown today. How do you want to go about this one?
I'm going to give a little brief overview of our motivations here and some of our characters. So, the whole point of the show is an island is discovered out in the middle of nowhere, and it's believed to be what they call Shinsenkyo, or kind of like heaven or paradise. And they feel like, for some reason, the shogunate believes that this island has the elixir of life, which will grant you immortality.
To preface, this takes place in like samurai Japan.
But it's I think it's kind of near the end of the feudal era, but it's still in the feudal era. Japan, obviously. But yeah, so there is a shogunate, and there are some samurais. I mean, there are lots of samurais and stuff. Like one of the groups that we are introduced to, the Yamada Asaimon, they call them blade testers and executioners, but basically they're samurai. But they're very important to the shogunate because they carry out executions, they make medicines, all sort of things. They're very important to the whole feudal system of this era.
Well, and let's be realistic with a few of our criminals. It's we're gonna attempt to execute them.
Right. Yeah. So we're introduced from the start to a couple characters. One we already talked about a little bit, Gabimaru the Hollow. He is a ninja from the Iwagakure. His little backstory on him, the village chief basically stole him from his parents and killed them, and then raised him to be a killer. And then eventually, for some reason, he makes him marry his daughter.
Yeah, very left field decision.
Right. And she kind of wants them to live a normal life. So he decides he's going to quit. And that's when things go out of control, and he's basically labeled as a criminal and then gets arrested.
Which there's a lot of controversy around his backstory as you move throughout.
Oh, yeah. We'll get there. We'll get there later. But then we meet another character, one of the Yamada Asaimon. Her name is Sagari. She kind of interviews him as the I don't know what you call it. The law in the area is trying to execute him and fails because of his training. He's basically extremely strong, extremely durable. Like, he can't be burned. Cows try to pull him apart and they end up getting hurt. And then someone tried to behead him and the sword broke. Yeah,
that was the first one. Trying to behead him. And
correct.
Him.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did that in the opposite order. But anyway, so Sagari's basically trying to find out what kind of a person he is. And I can't remember what they were called. They're not super important, but the law, we're just going to call him the law. The law wants him executed, so they're telling Sagari to kill him. And finally, he thinks that he's actually going to get killed for once instead of, her sword breaking on his neck like the prior attempt. So he fights back, and he doesn't even realize why he fights back. He's just doing it
Unconsciously
reflexively.
moving.
Right. So he finally realizes he wants to live, and she presents him with a letter from the shogunate saying, if you come do this thing for me, we'll give you a pardon. And that thing is going to Shinsenkyo and trying to find the elixir. So we then meet a bunch of other criminals. And the shogunate's like, yeah, we need a lot less of you. So they make them fight. And that's pretty much how they narrow it down to 10 criminals that go, and then 10 monitors, as they call them. But it's each monitor is a Yamada Asaimon.
Which are, in my opinion, the people who resemble like Soul Reapers from Bleach.
Right. I mean, it's obvious with the gis and the
the gis, the katanas.
Right. So to
like
keep it brief,
they treat their swords the same way that like the Soul Reapers treat their Sanpaktos.
Correct. Oh, absolutely.
Because like they say that like you can see the soul through the blade.
Right. Which there's some crazy scenes involving that.
Which I just to get it out there, because we'll probably describe it here in a little bit. The first scenes where you see like the soul coming through, like to like basically talking to the, what do they call, the Asaimon?
Mm-hmm.
Like she sees like these like toxic like purple hands, and it's kind of wild because she's like starting to realize she's interpreting the soul because of her like hesitations and stuff like that. Like it all responds off of like her actions.
Right. She like, in that it's representing them holding her back because she's, I don't know, anxious, I would say. She
feels like she's under a lot of pressure. She wants to try to,
which she is. Yeah. Obviously, because this is still a time, and you find out through another Asaimon Genji where it's believed that women shouldn't be in this profession, but they are important because they make more Asaimon. Mm-hmm. So he believes her role is to be housewives. Marry, instead of trying to become the next head, her role is to marry the next head. But that's also where you find out her biggest motivation, and that's to embrace both sides. Mm-hmm. But we get our 10 criminals and our 10 monitors, and they ship out. Go to Shinsenkyo. A lot of things happen. Quite a few people die immediately as soon as they land.
Right.
Because the criminals are like, hey, if I take out the other criminals, then I don't have competition. So some of them take out others. But once they get there and once they actually get into the island, they find it's crazy. Everything is not what it seems. Everything's upside down. One of the things I really like about this show is it's a really dark show, but it's very vibrant visually. There's a lot of colors. It's very bright, which is crazy for the tone is very dark.
Oh yeah, like every character has a sad backstory, like every single one.
Right. But then they start finding they find monsters which are called Soshin, I believe.
Yeah.
There's 3 ranks of, they call them hermits because that's who supposedly resides in Shinsenkyo. There's the Soshin, which are the low levels, the Doshin, and then the Tensen, which are the high level hermits, as they're called. But I don't want to get too much into that right now. That's just kind of the general overview of what we got going on. Mm-hmm. I'd rather get more into it as we talk through some things.
Like some fights?
Yeah, so I purposefully skipped over some things, like the fight to whittle down the criminals.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's look at it in order. So, like, technically, I would say the first fight is Sagari versus
Gabimaru.
Yeah, Gabimaru, whenever he breaks out of his restraints at the prison and starts fighting back.
Right.
That's our first fight. And I mean, it's quick, But it's kind of nuts because it does start to reveal a little bit about how Gabimaru feels.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he's known as you said, Gabimaru the Hollow. Like he's known to have no feelings, no remorse, no regret.
Supposed to be emotionless, supposed to not care, just a cold-blooded, ruthless killer.
It's kind of cool though to see Sagari's detective abilities as well, because she was able to find that weak point and prove to him that he had meaning. And that's really what sways the way that rolls, and that's when she gives him the pardon.
Right. Which his pretty much only meaning is his wife.
Right.
It's the one thing that brought him down, or I guess brought him up from emotionless, from the Hollow to being a person.
Yeah, that's valid. And then going on to the next fight being when all the criminals need to narrow themselves down, which honestly, this whole section, like I got like Kengan Ashura whenever they're like have to narrow down on the boat, Yu Yu Hakusho when they need to narrow down before the Dark Tournament.
Yep.
There's so many examples of when something like this happens, and this
or
one,
like Hunter x Hunter, but the way it's narrowed down is there's a storm instead of a fight.
Right. Which there were only a couple people who even passed that. It was just the three of them.
Yeah, it was just the three of them because all the other ones got sick.
Yeah. I don't know why. Just because I have to mention it. I love how when the first thing that Leorio says is, that's a sour apple. Like, what the hell?
I love Leorio. I love him.
I really wish that they would go more into him, honestly. I feel like he had so much potential to give you like a really cool follow-up. Same. But
as our follow-up to that fight...
This fight, when you have those criminals all fighting, I do think it was kind of nuts that how much Gabimaru just stood there and was like, no, like there's no point in killing senselessly. That was something I didn't really expect either. I figured he would just jump into it and just start killing people to be like, all right, this is what I got to do. But he tried to be diplomatic at first.
He's always, even though he's a killer, he's always been a directed killer. Like, this is your job, go do your job. Here, it's not really like a job. He just, basically in his mind, he just needs to survive. And if no one's attacking him, whatever.
That's
fair.
No
need to senselessly kill.
I mean, you can definitely tell, like, a lot of people, I mean, they mention it, that he's a legend there. Like, people know who he is. So I'm sure most of these people are like, yeah, I'm not really going to fuck with him.
Right.
It is kind of savage, though, to see these dudes beating each other to death with, like, rocks.
Well, the most savage thing is when Gabimaru starts fighting.
Oh, yeah.
He just fucking, like, rips people's throats out with his teeth.
I was going to say, he literally bites somebody's throat out. So, I mean, as a thing, if you're not, like, into super gory animes, this one might not be for you.
Right.
There is definitely quite a few scenes when Gabimaru just decides that there will be blood. So,
yeah, he's something.
Then you get the next fights that we get are all on the island, but some of them didn't really go kind of the way I thought they would.
We didn't even really get to see many of them because they were so quick or just weren't really a fight.
What's the giant dude's name? The like super tall, like 10-foot guy?
Hold on. I can't remember. Give me a second.
I don't know.
Rakurota, but they call him the Giant of Bizan.
Okay, I was trying to find his name again. He's one of the main characters I couldn't find a name for. Excuse me. I definitely feel like he also had a lot of potential to have like continuations if they would have kept him alive, but they kind of made him, in my opinion, like immature to the point where he had like a child's mind. At least that's the way it seemed.
Because he absolutely did. Yeah, he was super underdeveloped. He was basically still a baby.
Right.
And all he did was like say he's hungry, more or less.
Well, yeah, because he would never get full.
Right. And he
ate
was
his parents.
Right. He was so underdeveloped because no one was able to teach him or raise him or anything, because anybody that got close, played with him, anything like that got killed and then eaten.
Right. So, the first thing he does when he gets to the island is kill his monitor, which this is another thing that I'm like kind of confused on.
Yeah, this is something, yeah.
The monitor that he kills is in like all of their backstories.
Well, here's something I don't know if they actually said it in the show, but like it's important. He's the number 1 ranked Asaemon, right, which makes sense because he's that important. But like, how does the number 1 ranked Asaemon, who was constantly telling Sagari what she's doing wrong, meaning he knows what to do, how does he get killed by that guy and then Sagari kills him?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
With
Gabimaru's help, sure, but like the dude's ranked number 1, so yeah.
He should have been able to take care of that.
Then again, we find 12. Out, right? But we find out in a little bit from Senta Dono, who's another monitor, that the ranking system is solely based on where your likelihood to become the next head of the Asaemon clan. Mm-hmm. And she's ranked 12th, which is the lowest rank.
Partially because
she's a woman, and they apparently can't be the head of the Asaemon clan as a woman. But Senta says in combat, she's basically unmatched.
They also talk about her mentality drags her down a little bit because she's trying to embrace so many sides of things, and she can't like narrow it down, like because her mindset's not all the way there yet. It lowers her rank.
Correct. I mean, the biggest thing lowering her rank is that she's a woman.
100%, yes.
But yeah. But that whole trying to embrace multiple sides things turns out to be exactly what she needs to do moving forward.
Mm-hmm. And just to like bring up, we talked about there's a lot of things that are happening at once. So the rank number 1 monitor gets killed while there's another fight going on between Gabimaru and the priest dude who's been killing all the different criminals and like taking all their weapons.
Mm-hmm. I don't even remember that guy's name. He's so unimportant.
Yeah, I know. I can't find him listed anywhere either to like find his name. Mm-hmm. But he's got all these different weapons, and Sagari is getting upset with Gabimaru because he's not willing to like leave his hands tied.
Oh, his name's Kayun.
Oh, okay.
But yeah,
like it doesn't have his wrist tied, and she's like, yeah, you need to have him tied because that's the rules. He's like, why? Like, what does it matter? And then they come out of nowhere, and he's not restrained, and it's like, what the hell? Why do I have to have my hands tied and he doesn't? This is some bullshit. And as soon as they go to start fighting, Sagari taps him on the shoulder and goes, bind your hands. He's like, are you fucking kidding me?
He does it though.
He does, and he still beats his ass.
Mm-hmm.
I do find that some of his weapons were very unconventional. Like the very first weapon he uses is that like giant wrecking ball type deal on a chain.
Right. Yeah. He's just testing out his weapons.
Mm-hmm.
But they ended up getting tested on him instead.
Right. Well, and even like just his crazy, like when all the weapons go flying and Gabimaru just like kicks a spear and makes it go through the dude's chest.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty wild, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And there's
a few other off screens that happened during this time too. Basically, Azatoma, Chobei. Chobei is like the bandit lord who's like a teenager. Basically, he kills the one other criminal that's trying to kill him. That you see that for 2 seconds because it's not a fight.
Right.
Muramakia, the false priest, who was trying to overthrow the shogunate. That's how he got arrested. He gets seduced and used by Yuzuriha. And then
her succubus seduction classes.
Right. And then the actual seductress tries to seduce Shion, and Shion just cuts her head off because he don't play around.
He cannot be tempted.
Mm-hmm.
He's Daredevil, basically.
Oh yeah, I love Shion.
Yeah, Shion's badass. I do. Ooh, talking about this, man. So I'm actually kind of stoked with how kind of detailed they went with some of the fights where one of the monitors gets his like throat cut and it's so damaged that he can't talk.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was pretty sweet because I mean you have seen some animes where people have basically had their heads cut off and they're just still talking away.
Right.
Like this dude's
Right.
got blood coming out of his mouth. He can't verbalize anything. Like it's actually so cool how the depth that they went into for certain parts of this where it's like going back to that like scientific thing where they're breaking down like why certain things can or can't happen.
Right.
So I was kind of stoked about that aspect.
Oh, absolutely.
Also, going into the sword dude who's basically Sobra. I don't know. Oh god, why can't I not remember what his name is? Gentetsugi? Gentetsugi?
Gontetsusai?
Yeah, there you go. It's way too long for me to try to pronounce.
The blade, just call him the Blade Dragon.
Yeah, the Blade Dragon. I mean his backstory of he, went to the Shogun who claims to be the dragon. He cut the entire, gate in half. Mm-hmm. That's why he went to jail because he got offended.
Right.
But whenever, because I mean, we could label this a fight. I mean, it's not, but it's an altercation between like the bugs of this world. This is that's when you first see them. Is with him. That one of the moths like stings him in the hand and he gets like this weird feeling and he like cuts his hand off and as soon as it hits the ground it starts like turning into like flowers and tree bark and stuff. Yeah, because that's one of the big things that is like one of the only clues that they have is like the human bodies that have come back that are like sprouting flowers and in like a weird like Batman Joker twisted smile. Mm-hmm. Also, do you get Attack on Titan vibes from the first enemies that they fight?
Yeah. I mean, they are huge, so yeah.
They're huge, weird, smiley.
Most of them are mindless. Yeah, they're smiley. Yeah. I mean, they're all technically mindless. Some of them say things, but it's like the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely some Attack on Titan vibes there.
Mm-hmm. Well, and even like the normal, like the like half man, half fish with 6 arms. Mm-hmm. Like he kind of just reminds me of like some of the curses from JJK.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I don't know why I just expect him to be like that one curse. It's like, do you need a receipt? The fish human hybrid dude, that's actually one of those points where Gabimaru makes more of a realization about like the religious aspects of this world. Mm-hmm. So I think that fight was also super solid.
He starts making not assumption, well, kind of assumptions, but like more hypotheses that it's all mixed up because the two fish head human body things, there was 2 of them that looked exactly the same. But one of them had human insides, one had fish insides. So, like, nothing made sense.
Yeah. This is a really funky world that it kind of took me a little bit to, like, kind of grasp what was going on. Because it's almost like there's, like, the different levels of, like, the Arankars and Bleach, like we've already been making the correlation to. It's
like that's definitely one of the things that's similar because once you get to the Soshin are basically hollows.
Yeah.
But then the Doshin are like non-Espada Arankar, more or less. Mm-hmm. And then obviously the Tenzin are the Espada. And it all makes sense it makes more sense because the Soshin are wild, just weird looking. The Doshin are like mostly human with some different aspects. Like one looks like the millipedes and the other looks like the butterflies, and then the other one I don't know, I think he looks like a tree or something. I don't know, but like they're very low level Arankar looking and and all that, and they basically serve the same purpose too. They serve the Tenzin like the normal Arrancar serve the Espada.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's some mysterious master that we don't know.
Aizen.
Yeah. Although you said the one Tenzin reminds you of Aizen, he's like the leader.
Ryan.
He's like the leader of the Tenzin, but he's not the master that they're talking about.
Yeah.
So I think, we'll get to that.
Valid. I don't know. Is there a particular fight that's on your brain?
I mean, we could talk about the Giant of Bison fight because it's a real formative moment for especially Sagari.
I mean, yeah. I mean, we could.
That's more or less where she figures out that she does need to embrace both sides, and she needs to let the calmness meet the anxiety and, use both together. And it's where she finally gets her actual sword strike right. Like, in some of her flashbacks, she's told that she's not giving the people she executes a proper death because they feel pain from the way
her hesitation and
yep.
Mm-hmm.
So this fight that teaches her how to actually correctly strike with the sword so that it doesn't, so she doesn't hesitate, so that there's no pain, so that it's clean, it's truly clean.
Mm-hmm.
And she figures out how to beat the giant by going for the joints, obviously.
Yeah. And I like how they do the X-ray view of like her imagining like where his vertebrae are and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's really utilizing her knowledge to be like, all right, cool, this is where I have to aim.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and most of the enemies that they fight on this island, the fights are very different because like the Soshin or even most Tenzin, she wouldn't have to have them kneel, but she's like, listen, in an execution, they got to be kneeling, so you need to get his head close to the ground so I can cut it off, because that's the only way to kill this thing. Mm-hmm. This person in quotation marks is by beheading him. So she needs Gabimaru's help to make him kneel.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest fights in my head is when Gabimaru first fights a Tenzin.
Yeah.
That one in my brain is kind of where, you see how big their abilities are because of the regenerative abilities. And then you see the Tenzin earlier on. You just don't realize it with Chobe. He runs into him like this is kind of where it gets a little bit fan servicey, is like you run into them like making out, and then like the one turns from female to male.
Yeah, but you sort of find out why they do that though. They don't. It's weird. It's more weird because the Tenzin technically don't need to do this, but they more or less do it because they're bored. But they have to. Anyone that's not a Tenzin, because the Tenzin can switch between male and female, has to basically have sex between a male and a female, because men have yin and women have yang, and they have to mix yin and yang to get this power, the Tao.
Which is basically like ki, kai, chakra.
Right. So because they can switch between male and female, they have yin and yang inside them, so they don't have to do this. They just do it probably because they're bored, honestly.
Well, from what gets explained to Gabimaru, they do it to increase their power. Because of the flow, it increases the abilities.
Right, but they could probably get the same flow by just rapidly switching back and forth.
Potentially, yes, but it seems like that's their governed rule as to how they're going to do it.
Right.
So it's kind of strange either way. I mean, but look at Baki. Like in Baki. In Baki, like most of the people who are like some of the stronger people say, like even Yujiro says, gives them advice at one point, and it says, do it till you can't do it anymore, then do it some more.
Yeah.
So, and
That
even
makes
like
sense. In that instance, it makes sense because it's increasing his testosterone,
correct.
which is increasing his muscles and all that. Yeah.
So, just from that aspect of things, but
It's
in
not
that
full
first,
fan service though. They don't have nipples.
No, they don't. There are none. I mean, there is a genuine scene in the show where you do basically just watch them bang for a hot minute, which was very kind of uncomfortable on my end because, like, from how they explain, which I'm not gonna say because, like, if you want to watch it, you'll understand it a little bit more of why it's creepy, in my opinion, that these people are all having sex.
Yeah,
because there is a very weird underlying reason why they're all there and why it's super creepy that they're all sleeping together. But I feel like we haven't learned in the first season. You don't learn too much about the individual Tenzin. You get to
right. You just know that they're basically all part of one whole, but they all have their own personalities. And one of the things on the whole rewatch thing, one of the things that if you don't pay close enough attention, I didn't notice this until like my second or third watch. All of the Tenzin, the female voice and the male voice, all the female voices is all one voice actor. All the male voices is all one voice actor. They just change the way they talk slightly to fit a different personality.
They flat out tell you that in the show too.
Right.
The one like
I mean, they could have had different voice actors that sound similar, but it was just all one.
Well, the dude with like the grasshopper head, the like lower level one.
Yeah.
He tells them that like because they're all from the same like origin, that all their voices are the same, just slightly different.
Right.
Because they're all just offshoots of the same origin.
Right.
So, but I'm not going to explain like too much about how that all works right now. But, yeah, like the big fight with Gabimaru and the first Tenzin, I do like that. That's where you get to kind of see that they have like, in my brain, it's a like final form type of moment where it's like, oh, you think you defeated the big bad, and then they transform into their next form.
It's their resurrection.
Yeah. Like they turn into like basically like a giant flower beast of some kind. Because the two different ones you've seen do it so far have changed into something different. So I feel like it does go back into like it's going to be reflective more of their personalities, but it's always shown that there's like two entities inside of it.
Well, it makes sense because flowers have a pistil and a stamen, which they talk about.
Right. And that first final form.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say that first final form battle was like not really what I was expecting of like that. It seems like there was a huge increase of power.
Right. Oh yeah, huge. Another thing in that fight that you see is Gabimaru accidentally uses Tao one time.
Yeah, he does it by accident and he doesn't even realize it. And then in a later fight, he uses it a lot better.
Well, he finally figures it out because I mean, May gives him a hint, but like she doesn't speak well, so she basically says strong, weak.
Yeah, she's starting to put pieces together because basically, from what you see, is that you don't see any other humanoid people until. Well, I can't say that yet. I should say like human, like actually human, not like mutated or anything like that. May is the first one you run into, and it's a child. And then I don't really want to cover too much about her because she is one of those parts that's kind of like still a little bit of a mystery, and the little bits that we could explain about her give away like a ton about the later story for anybody who does want to watch it. Yeah. But it is kind of nuts whenever you see her in an instant go from like a small child to like, yeah, it's so insane.
I love when Gabimaru comments on it, and they're like, "Yeah, that's called puberty."
Yeah, they're like, "That's what I mean." That was so funny. But going going in with like, about her, she honestly, in my opinion, once you find out like a couple of details about her, she's probably the one I feel the most sorry for as of right now.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
But I would definitely say the biggest fight is Shion and Sagari and what
Zuriha
yeah,
and
them,
Nuragai.
yeah, them all fighting, like that was them fighting the other Tenzin. That was the biggest fight of the whole season.
The cool thing before that fight, the cool thing about Shion, since he is blind, he basically figured out, he calls it waves, but he figured out how to see Tao.
He
could see everyone's Tao. Yeah, exactly. But Daredevil can't see Tao. But anyway, yeah, he somehow figured out a way, he must just be sensitive to it, that he can see, he calls them, he says everything has waves, which you find out from the Doshin that everything has Tao. So he could see everything's Tao, and that's how he could see while being blind. So it takes him a little bit to figure out how to, instead of just seeing and sensing it, which is hard, figuring out how to actually use it. And he figures that out in that final fight. So does Sagari.
Shion's like blind dad jokes are the best.
I love it. He's like, I've always had a sharp eye.
Right? Or like, why'd you change your clothes? Well, my clothes had blood all over them, so I needed to change them. Couldn't stand the sight of it. Like,
I love it. He is by far my favorite character, by the way.
Oh yeah, 100%. He's definitely mine too. I'm kind of interested to see more of his abilities, especially now that he's developing more and more with understanding how this world works and how to cut down these enemies. So he, I think, is going to be a huge part of the next season.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to move into the next part of this, if you're cool, of fan theories of a theory that I have.
Yes, there was a couple things that I wanted to talk about. Yes.
Okay.
I don't know about everybody else's theories, but I have theories.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I haven't looked up any like big fan theories on this one. I feel like
I own all the manga. Season 2 is out, but I haven't read or watched. So we're gonna talk about my theories here. Theories here.
My first theory on something is what's it, Chiobe?
Yeah. Chobe, yeah.
I have to wonder if, with what's going on with him right now, if he's being like infected in like by the world, and he's gonna end up like kind of more turning into like a Tenzin.
My theory is he's going the other way, and he's gonna be like I don't remember his name, the tree guy, Hoko.
Oh, the Ents.
Yeah.
They do tell you that all the tree people were human at one point, and they've been corrupted by the island that they're on.
Right. But the reason we have these theories is because you see him start to heal from things, and it's definitely plant-like.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably from eating the infected people.
True, but they also talk about the world can get into any cut that you have, because they even show you that during the Shion like epic final fight of the season, where like all those flowers start sprouting out of all the cuts that he has, to where I have to wonder if whenever they were down in that pit, because him and his brother got dropped down in the pit where they start to make the elixir. Mm-hmm. Like I have to wonder if it was infecting him then. But I mean, they do talk about when you've used up all of your
Tao.
All of your Tao, that it can affect you in a ton of different ways. And I have to wonder if it's partially that, but like I wonder if his Tao is being replaced by the Tao of the world, and it's kind of like infecting him.
Right. Well, so our theories are basically the same. It's just the end result is the different.
Okay, yeah, I'm thinking he's probably gonna like turn something into like a Tenzin almost. Mm-hmm. Because he's already getting the regenerative abilities.
Right. But something we were told is that normal humans can't drink the tan. or the ton, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't ingested it by any means, but I have to wonder.
Oh no, I'm pretty sure he did by eating the people, but still, I don't know. I think it's not going to affect him in a good way.
Oh, I definitely don't think it's going to be a
being
good
a Tenson. I don't know if that's a good way either.
Right.
All right. One of my theories is that Aizen Dono is actually alive.
Really?
Yeah, there's no way. He's so important, it seems. There's no way he's just dead. There's no way that he's just dead.
I can't imagine him being dead when he's been in every one of their backstories. All of them.
Right.
And he's been like a guiding light to most of them. And rank 1.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't make sense. I mean, granted, we did talk about this show as almost like the equivalent of The Walking Dead. You can't like any characters in the show because they're all dying.
Right.
There are definitely some characters we have not mentioned that do die in the first season, and I'm not going to bring that up because some of them are a very big surprise in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
There are definitely characters that I expected to last longer in the show than they did, and then there are some characters that I expected to die way sooner.
Right.
So this is a show where you really can't get attached to too many people because a lot of people die.
Yeah. It's one thing I like about the Dark Trio over the Big Three, even though the Big Three is better, is that people die. Lots of them.
Now, I won't... Another theory that I kind of want to bring up to you is, you know, the theory that the Shinobi has. I always forget what her name is. There's so many long names in this show.
Yuzuriha?
Yeah, Zuriha. You know what she says at the end, what her theory is about Gabimaru's life. It was all...
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that everything was like a shadow, like it wasn't real.
Yeah.
I
think she's more meaning that about the elixir of life part, because supposedly the village chief drank the elixir of life and he's immortal. I think that's more what she was getting at, but it leads you to think about other aspects of his life.
Now, I think that part's wrong. I think that his motivation, his real meaning for living does actually exist. The way that the show ends, though, on that huge cliffhanger, where he's like, you know, trying to piece it all together.
His memory, yeah.
I think it's just that because they start showing that his motivation for living just like is getting like grayed out. But I think it's just because he lost his memory, not because he was tricked into believing that it was real.
Correct. That's how I feel as well.
Okay.
But they're leading you to believe that it's fake.
Correct. Yes. Because when I did mention that there are a lot of discrepancies in like his backstory, like the first 2 episodes for the most part are just spent like gathering information on him.
Right.
Well, solid first episode, part of the second episode.
Right.
Because they refer back to Sagari's like her like journal about like observing him. They refer back to that pretty often. And then you find out like a lot of stuff. It's hard to say too if it was a lie or if it was him trying to protect himself and like his motivations, or if it was genuinely like him believing it. Like it's hard to move into that because I feel like part of it is him just trying to hide his feelings and pretend like he doesn't have them when he knows deep down that he really does. It's not quite as hollow as he thinks he is.
Nope.
I think those are all pretty much all the theories that I have going into it though.
Same. One thing I want to know is who the master is.
I know. I have the same.
It kind of seems like the island existed and people lived there, and then this person came in and fucked with everything.
I get the same feeling about this master as I did about finding out who the dark mage was who was in Delicious in Dungeon.
Right.
Which, by the way, those people who haven't watched Delicious in Dungeon, you absolutely fucking should.
It's so good.
Is a recommend. For me, it's a recommend and a rewatch. But
Yeah.
I mean, this one, I definitely like just kind of moving into it of like, past our theories. Like this is definitely a show that surprised me on a lot of aspects. There were things that I expected to be a bigger threat than they were. There were things that I expected to not matter. There are things that I felt like were not, weren't going to happen, and they absolutely did. Like there's a lot of deaths that I didn't expect. This one definitely keeps you guessing, and I feel like leans on a lot of other animes that are either popular or were popular. So I feel like this one's easy to fall in love with and is kind of fun to get fooled by, but at the same time, it's something you kind of just need to be prepared for.
Right. Absolutely agreed.
Yeah, this one's pretty clear cut and dry in my opinion. There's not really. I feel like I'm just waiting on the next season. I feel like that's kind of where I'm at with it. Is like, man,
good news is it's out.
I know, but
I'm finished, but
right. But I feel like that's just where I'm at with it. Is like, all right, cool. I'm ready to just move into the next one. You know what I mean? Like this one's one where I don't feel like I would hesitate at all moving into the next season.
Right. I did because I didn't want it to influence me on this. But I'm probably going to go start it as soon as we're done here.
Fair. I am kind of interested for Aaron's next pick, though. This one's one I hadn't even heard of, honestly. Secret of the Silent Witch.
I've heard of it. It's a new one.
Okay. I'm pretty sure my wife has the whole collection that's out somewhere in our library somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Probably.
Because she has everything.
Uh-huh.
But I'll be excited to check this one out. It goes back to our roots of why we started this, of kind of getting into stuff that we wouldn't normally watch or whatnot. And I think that's one thing that Aaron definitely does for me is he kind of pushes me into a lot of newer stuff that I wouldn't normally watch because I'm very much more old school.
Right.
Unfortunately, I've liked all of it so far.
Same.
I think
I like everything though.
Facts. I think my biggest one right now that I wasn't expecting to like as much was Irumakun. That one I'm like all about.
I love Irumakun.
It's love so it. Good. But yeah, I mean, I think I've got my thoughts out on this one. You got anything else you wanna talk about? Go over.
I love the intro song and video.
Yeah. By the way, is it just me, or is the intro song or the outro the same who did Tokyo Ghouls? Because they sound fucking similar.
It might be the outro, and I don't know for sure.
I'm pretty sure that they are.
Maybe. But it's good.
Intro. Okay, so that was... it was Unravel, and then...
By TK.
Yeep. And then... Who's it? McGonaghy.
What?
I don't know. My mind blanked out, man. House Paradise. No, they're not. By Yuru. So they are not, but they sound very similar.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you don't have anything else, I definitely feel like this one's a recommend for anybody who's interested in it. Definitely check it out. Definitely appreciate everybody stopping in, taking a look at things.
Wait, what? Apparently, Baby Metal is part of the season 2 opening. Let's go.
That's fucking awesome. Makes me like it that much more already.
Let's go.
Definitely be looking out on our socials. We're going to be throwing up a lot of different stuff on there as we go. Facebook, pretty sure We have a few other ones that we will want to tag in places. Facebook's probably going to be our biggest one that we go through, other than maybe a few others. But keep a lookout. Appreciate you guys stopping in. Be sure to stop in for the next one of Secret of the Silent Witch. All excited for that one. Coming up in 2 weeks. Appreciate it. Thank you guys very much. Love you. Have a good one.
Love you. Bye.